All right, so this weekend, Jaime Munguia takes on John Ryder. That's a really good fight. That's a really, really good fight. And I was thinking, that's a 168. And it kind of reminded me of someone who campaigned at 168, hasn't campaigned at 168 in nearly 3 years, actually hasn't campaigned at all in nearly 3 years, despite the fact since 2022 we've been hearing potential comebacks, and it's not materialised. And who am I talking about? Of course, Billy Joe Saunders. It was about October time, and apologies if you can hear the wind. I can't do anything about that. It has been, I mean, the wind in Ireland the last couple of days has been crazy. From up north all the way down to Dublin, it's been crazy. So you might hear a bit of wind blowing in. Nothing I can do about that. But Billy Joe Saunders, there's been talk of a comeback now for a while. October of last year, round about that time, kind of October, November time, we were really starting to hear about it. In fact, Ben Davison, I think, even tweeted a couple of things saying, just, comeback season with a picture of Billy Joe, stuff like that, implying basically that for Billy Joe's comeback, he'd be training again with Ben Davison, which I did. When Joshua went and started announcing he'd be working with Ben Davison, I was thinking, imagine that, you've got Billy Joe and Joshua in the same camp. If you told me that 5 years ago, that, oh yeah, at some point you're going to see Joshua and Billy Joe with the same trainer in the same camp, I'd be like, get out of here. That's never going to happen. But apparently it is. Now, back in October, the talk was that Billy Joe would be coming back in either January or February of 2024. Well, we're nearly at the end of January, coming into February. We've heard nothing. Now, at that time, the fight between Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. was still being talked about. There was still the possibility of it. And obviously, the Conor Benn, Team Benn, Eddie Hearn, the board, I don't even know what the situation is with that. I think we should have known by now, but God knows what's going on there. But that basically derailed the fight. Conor Benn is now having a fight in Las Vegas against, what's that guy's name, Peter Dobson or something like that. And Chris Eubank Jr., well, there's talk of Kell Brook. I really hope that isn't the case, because I really just don't want to see that at this point in Kell Brook's career anyway. Well, he's retired the last 2 years. But Billy Joe was in talks to come back on their undercard. And, so work up Matchroom. It makes a bit of sense if Eubank wins, they could work towards the rematch. But that fight fell through, and now we've heard literally nothing about Billy Joe Saunders. I mean, he's literally gone underground almost. There's not a peep with him. And that comeback, when they were talking about it, I was thinking to myself, like, what is he really coming back for? And the only answer really is money, because I can't see him do, and not that he would necessarily need it. He was well paid against Canelo Alvarez back in 2021, but I guess an extra couple of mil doesn't hurt. But you look at Billy Joe and you think, right, you've seen pictures of him over the last couple of years looking way out of shape, and I mean way out of shape. Billy Joe isn't Tyson Fury. He's not a heavyweight where you can just lose that weight and, weigh in, just say, oh, well, I used to weigh 240, but 260 is just going to be good enough. You can't do that for Billy Joe, because he has to cut to make weight. He's not a heavyweight. And it will catch up with them more, because, again, they're having to artificially drain themselves. With Tyson Fury, it will catch up eventually, but not as quick as someone who's in, respective weight divisions, like middleweight, super middle, etc. And, which we're not hearing anything now. We was hearing talk that it was going to be light heavy and then work down to 168, but we're hearing zilch now. Obviously, I'm thinking about that because we've got Munguia and Ryder this weekend. I know Billy Joe has fought John Ryder, but that was a long, long time ago. Over a decade ago now. Munguia, Canelo is still not going to, I know he's not going to fight Canelo, but I look at guys like that Christian Mbele guy who fought on the undercard of Beterbiev Smith. Imagine that guy's energy. How many punches he throws going up there against Billy Joe. Caleb Plant, even Demetrius Andre, even now, after that Benavidez fight. In fact, actually, that fight right there makes actually a bit of sense for both guys, because they could have had that fight in 2018. Billy Joe ran into some trouble with the nasal spray. Apparently, UCAD said that's fine, but the Massachusetts, that's where it's going to be, Massachusetts Athletic Commission said, nah, not going to happen. But that fight right there, coming off the back of that loss over Benavidez, Demetrius Andre against Billy Joe, that really is a kind of crossroads fight. The winner can stay on, the loser, can bye-bye. Caleb Plant, Morel, Berlanga, Pacheco, who is tremendously talented. I really rate Diego Pacheco very highly. Tremendously talented. Bekimir Malakuziev. You got some other guys knocking around. I'm looking at that super middleweight division. And yeah, it's Canelo reigns supreme, and Benavidez is certainly second. But you're looking at this super middleweight division, and it doesn't really get any easier when you're looking through. I mean, even the likes of Patrick McCroy, he's still pretty useful. And Billy Joe Saunders out of the ring for nearly 3 years. Nearly 3 years. Be 3 years now, come what may. Losing God knows how much weight. God knows how much he's still weighing now. You know, even Derevchenko, names like that there. How the hell does he envision having a successful comeback? Or is he even going to come back? Is the comeback just binned now for Billy Joe? Because it was all steam ahead, certainly kind of towards the end of last year, and now it's been radio silence on it. You look at that super middleweight division, and I look at that and I just think, good luck. You know, if he's working with Matchroom, Berlanga, even though I'm not madly high on Berlanga, I think that Pacheco was much better. At this point, Berlanga, you'd make him favourite. You definitely make Diego Pacheco favourite, 100%. You know, you look at guys, he's already lost to Canelo. Benavidez would absolutely eat him for breakfast. You know, Billy Joe is not really a 168 pounder. He should have started his career at 154, ill-disciplined, ended up just staying at middleweight and then moving up to pick up a vacant title against a pretty easy touch against a Sufi, I think the guy's name was, in 2019. So with Saunders, if he does come back, I mean, he is in for a rude awakening at 168. For me, if I'm managing or trying to matchmake Billy Joe Saunders, the only fight that I would say makes any sense from a financial point of view, literally any sense in the UK, is a rematch with Chris Eubank Jr. And obviously you'd want to get a win against, you know, a no-hoper, just to at least get rid of the ring rust. I mean, you go down, you know, someone like a Jack Cullen, someone like that at 168. Yeah, Billy Joe Saunders, I'd make him favourite. You go further down, you've got the likes of Zach Parker, you know, Tyrone Zoing, who is fighting, he actually is fighting Zach Parker, people like that, who are not particularly amazing. You know, you keep going down, the likes of Jay Quigley, Felix Sturm is still knocking around, bizarrely, all right? But you got the likes of them, you know, someone like that, yeah, you could probably say Billy Joe could go in there and, you know, get rid of the ring rust and maybe not look amazing, but win nonetheless, and then go into a Eubank Jr. fight. It would sell in the UK. Could be pay-per-view. It could be done on the Zone pay-per-view. It could be done on Sky pay-per-view. You could still do, I reckon you could do that on pay-per-view, that fight. You could just maybe with a good undercard get away with it on Sky or the Zone, because obviously Eubank does fight on, he's not a boxer fighter, but he does fight on Sky, and obviously Billy Joe is with Matchroom, and Eubank was going to do the Ben fight on the Zone pay-per-view, so you could do it on either platform. And I think it's a payday. It keeps both guys relevant, and that's the only fight that I could, and believe me, I'd be making Eubank favourite in that fight, but it's the only fight that I could see from a financial point of view that would make sense for Billy Joe if he was to come back, because I look at that super middleweight division, I think they would eat him for breakfast at this. But 3 years out of the ring, God knows what he's done. I mean, I'm not just talking about alcohol, God knows what else he's done. Ballooned in weight. That guy is going to be a shell of himself. An absolute shell of himself whenever he comes back, if he even comes back, because God knows what's going to happen now. I wonder, did he put all his money fighting on the Eubank Ben undercard, which never happened, and now it's like, all right, don't want to know, because for nearly 2 years now it's been like, oh, the comeback, and then it's radio, so oh, it's back again, the comeback, and yeah, nothing again. What the hell is happening with Billy Joe? What the hell is happening? You know, whether you like him as a character or not, a lot of people don't like him. A lot of people really, really don't like Billy Joe Saunders. I can kind of see why. He has done a lot of things that are just, you know, pretty distasteful. The boy could box. At least when, you know, he was in his prime, he could box. I mean, look at that. He had 2 fights. He's had 4 fights in 5 years. Damn. 1 fight in 21, 1 fight in 20, 2 in 2019. It's hard to believe that, you know, you associate Billy Joe, bit of a long-winded one here, but you associate Billy Joe with the middleweight division, because that really was his division. He's not fought at middleweight since 2017. Lemieux, which was his best, probably career best performance, was his last fight at 160 pounds. He never weighed 160 pounds since then. It's quite crazy to think about, really, when you look at it like that, and you're like, geez, that's a long time ago. And he never built off that. Never built off the win. Joe Rogan, everyone was talking about that. You know, never built off it. Had a year of inactivity. Well, they cancelled the Martin Murray fight twice. It was meant to be in the O2. More than likely poor ticket sales. And then, yeah, just here we are now in 2024 talking about what the hell happened to Billy Joe. And is he ever going to come back? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Billy Joe Saunders. No word on the comeback. Do you think it'll even happen? Do you even care? I know people like Joe Stunner Boxing really don't like Billy Joe Saunders. They don't give a damn if he ever comes back. Are you one of them who are like, you know what, G? Don't care. Boxing's better off without him. Let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed it, people. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, as always, if you haven't already. And, of course, for now, I will leave yous. Peace.